luxury bags carefully handcrafted in China. The viral TikToks from Chinese factory workers, the internet is now in a frenzy over claims that some of the most iconic designer bags are actually born in the East.
Most of them are made in China, and most of them are made in our factory. Yeah.
What if I told you that your $3,000 Louis Vuitton bag probably costs less to make than your everyday sneakers? It's the kind of statement that makes people stop in their tracks.
But why these luxury brands never tell you that? Because they are trying to pretend to be products of some sophisticated.
And that's exactly why the luxury world is shaking right now. For decades, brands like Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Armani have sold us a fantasy. They've promised old-world European craftsmanship, the kind passed down by generations in tiny workshops across Italy and France. We've been sold the image of delicate hands stitching fine leather under the Tuscan sun, creating bags so special they had to cost thousands. But here's the brutal truth. That image is mostly smoke and mirrors.
We are going to be successful. In a few weeks, the shop was open. We sell the most expensive products.
A slowdown and a contraction in the global luxury market. About 50 million people either opted out or were forced out of the luxury market over the past 2 years.
Behind the glossy storefronts and champagne-fueled fashion shows, many of these luxury items are mass-produced in factories halfway across the world, especially in China.
I feel people started to get tired of purchasing products and realized that we just bought too much and it didn't really make us happier.
The made in Italy or made in France tags we see, often those are earned with the bare minimum, sewing on a strap, attaching a zipper, or adding a button in Europe. The bulk of the manufacturing, the long hours, the precise work, and the materials, all of it happens in Chinese factories where the workers are paid a fraction of what you'd expect. And the kicker? Most buyers never suspect it.
The chip came out. A little over 1 square foot of vaqueta leather came out. 2 different finishes. The best vaqueta leathers in the market is $7-8.
That handbag you proudly carry, that symbol of status and success, may have cost less to make than your last fast food meal. But the cracks in the illusion are starting to show. And it's about to get messy. The illusion shattered further when the Italian government stepped in. And they weren't pulling any punches. In a move that stunned the fashion world, Italy filed lawsuits against some of the most iconic luxury names: Dior, LVMH, and Armani.
You recognize this style, this bag? Of course you do. For the past more than 30 years, we have been OEM factory for most of the luxury brands around the world.
Why? Because behind the shimmering storefronts, prosecutors uncovered a system built on deception. Raids on Italian factories revealed that many made-in-Italy products were anything but. Instead of being lovingly handcrafted in sunlit studios, they were assembled in grimy workshops, often run by small Chinese-owned subcontractors. Factories like Pelletteria Elisabetta Yang, SRL, and New Leather Italy, SRLS, were subcontracted by Dior, cranking out handbags in conditions that were nothing short of shocking. Workers were doing relentless overtime, often without pay, packed into tight quarters with no health protections. Some were even sleeping beside their sewing machines just to keep up with the crushing demand. And the numbers? Almost laughable, if they weren't so enraging. A Dior handbag, selling for €3,000, cost less than €60 to make. Italian authorities exposed the bare-bones costs behind these luxury price tags, sending shockwaves through the industry.
I spent over $100,000 of my own money dissecting luxury bags, cutting them open, analyzing every stitch, every layer.
Suddenly, that sleek $6,000 purse didn't feel so glamorous. Instead, it felt like the symbol of a system built on exploitation, and consumers were starting to wake up. Just as the lawsuits were making headlines, a perfect storm hit the luxury industry. And this time, it wasn't coming from courtrooms. It was coming from TikTok. As tariffs tightened global supply chains and governments cracked down on imports, social media became the stage where the luxury empire began to crumble in the public eye. On TikTok, creators and whistleblowers began peeling back the velvet curtain. Viral videos exposed the shocking truth. Luxury handbags, wallets, and shoes weren't just made in secret Chinese factories. They were being sold to consumers at markups so outrageous, they bordered on absurd. A $2,780 Dior bag made for just $57. A $1,500 Louis Vuitton Neverfull bag, assembled for barely $50.
4 years of training to be able to manufacture a Kelly bag. This that you've just seen, the perlage, you need to be very skilled.
The same brands that marketed themselves as exclusive, untouchable symbols of sophistication were now being dragged through the digital mud. And the public? Oh, they were paying attention. Suddenly, social media was flooded with side-by-side comparisons of luxury bags and their affordable dupes, factory footage showing overworked employees, and angry customers realizing they'd paid thousands for what was essentially a $50 product with a logo. TikTok, once just a platform for dance trends and makeup tutorials, had turned into the luxury industry's worst nightmare. And the ripple effects were only just beginning. At the center of this social media storm stood one man, Wang Senator. If you haven't heard his name yet, trust me, you will. Wang wasn't just another TikTok creator throwing shade at luxury brands. He was a full-blown whistleblower with the receipts to back it up. In his viral videos, Wang walked viewers through factories where workers were stitching bags that looked suspiciously like Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Gucci. And this wasn't some grainy, shaky footage. It was crystal clear, showing workers crafting bags that mirrored what people were spending thousands on in boutiques. Wang's videos exploded online, racking up millions of views almost overnight. But just as quickly as his fame rose, TikTok came swinging. His accounts were banned, not once, but multiple times, in what many saw as a desperate attempt to silence the noise. But by then, the damage was done. The internet had already seen the truth, and it spread like wildfire. As more creators jumped on the trend, the floodgates burst open. Side-by-side comparisons between luxury bags and so-called dupes flooded people's feeds. Quality checks, factory tours, and even breakdowns of materials surfaced, all pointing to the same shocking conclusion. The lines between luxury and mass production were blurrier than anyone wanted to admit. And while the luxury houses tried to maintain their polished image, the internet was busy rewriting the narrative, one viral post at a time. As the truth spilled across social media, something unexpected happened. Consumers didn't just get mad, they got savvy. Apps like DHgate and Tao exploded in popularity, offering high-quality dupes that looked almost identical to luxury originals, often crafted in the very same factories. For a fraction of the price, people were buying bags that passed the eye test, the touch test, and even the smell tests. Suddenly, it wasn't just about owning a Louis Vuitton or Dior. It was about outsmarting the system.
Put the finishing touches on a Kelly, the most difficult bag to build. It starts with 30 distinct cuts of leather and can take 20 hours to complete.
TikTok feeds filled up with creators showing off their $300 dupes next to $3,000 originals, breaking down stitching patterns, leather grades, and even hardware details. The public realized they no longer had to empty their savings for a taste of luxury. They could get the same craftsmanship without the crushing markup. And luxury brands? They were in full-blown panic mode. Their carefully built image of exclusivity, rarity, and unmatched quality was crumbling. And worse, their once loyal customers were joining the rebellion. The idea that luxury meant better was now up for debate. And for many, the answer was clear. It didn't. With dupes rising and trust falling, the luxury world was forced to reckon with a new, unpredictable market. And the shakeup was only getting started. But just as the outrage reached a fever pitch, the skeptics arrived, and they raised some sharp questions. Could these viral videos really be showing official luxury production lines? Or was something else going on? Industry insiders pointed out that real luxury factories operate under contracts so strict they make movie NDAs look tame. We're talking airtight non-disclosure agreements, where even leaking a blurry photo could cost a factory its entire business. If a supplier was truly caught spilling secrets, lawsuits wouldn't just rain down, they'd crush entire companies. So why were these videos surfacing so freely? That's where things get murky. Many experts believe what we're seeing online isn't official production, but factory overruns, extra products made after hours, or high-end dupes crafted with leftover materials. Same recipe, different kitchen. These aren't knockoffs made in some back alley sweatshop. They're near clones made using the same leather, the same tools, and sometimes the same hands as the real thing.
There are no manuals or cheat sheets. Artisans rely on their training and muscle memory to make every bag.
But here's the twist. They're not officially blessed by the brand. This blurred line between real and replica only fueled the public's distrust. People were no longer sure what their luxury bag even was. And when the identity of a product crumbles, so does its status. For the first time, luxury brands weren't just fighting counterfeiters. They were battling an entire underground system that knew their playbook inside and out. As the chaos unfolded, one name kept surfacing: Bernard Arnault, the legendary CEO of LVMH and once the richest man on the planet. For decades, Arnault was the architect of the modern luxury empire, turning Louis Vuitton, Dior, Fendi, and dozens of other brands into global powerhouses. His influence shaped everything from runway trends to how we define wealth itself. But now, at 76, whispers of his early retirement have started swirling. And people can't help but wonder if it's more than just age driving his exit. Officially, Arnault was cleared by LVMH's shareholders to stay on as CEO until 85. That's nearly a decade of runway left to cement his legacy. But behind closed doors, insiders are speculating that the relentless wave of scandals, lawsuits, and public backlash has Arnault considering a graceful retreat. The image of the untouchable luxury king has been battered, and the once mighty empire is under siege from social media, regulators, and an increasingly disillusioned public. It's the kind of crisis that could rattle even the most seasoned titan. And Arnault, known for his meticulous control and polished public face, may simply not want to fight this uphill battle. Whether he frames it as stepping aside for family, rest, or succession planning, the timing feels suspicious. And if the man behind LVMH is preparing to walk away, it signals something bigger. Even the most powerful players know the luxury game is changing fast. So here we are, watching the glittering facade of the luxury world start to crack wide open. For decades, brands like Louis Vuitton, Dior, and Armani have sold not just handbags or shoes, but a fantasy, one of elegance, exclusivity, and timeless craftsmanship. But in a digital age where one viral video can bring down an empire, that illusion feels more fragile than ever. Consumers are waking up. They're realizing that behind the polished boutiques and champagne-fueled parties, there's a messy underbelly of underpaid labor, misleading marketing, and jaw-dropping markups. And once that curtain is pulled back, it's hard to unsee it. Suddenly, the $3,000 bag doesn't feel like a statement of success. It feels like a symbol of being played. The big question now is, can Louis Vuitton and its peers survive this exposure era? Or are we watching the beginning of a slow, messy fall from grace for the world's biggest luxury empire? And what about Bernard Arnault? Is he really stepping aside to enjoy family time? Or is this the ultimate, I'm out before it all collapses move? One thing's certain, the luxury industry is standing at a crossroads, and the next few years will decide whether these brands can rebuild trust or whether they'll be left in the dust by a generation that knows too much to buy in blindly. So tell me, are you still loyal to luxury, or has the truth changed your mind? Drop your thoughts below, and if you're hungry for more insider tea, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because trust me, this drama is just heating up.